Our story begins in 1902, the Great Oppai War. We start off with the king. The king of the Empire of Great Britain and Ireland was a very religious man who always worshipped the religion of Oppai. So religious, in fact, that he became paranoid of any other religion in his nation. His neighbor, the French, worshipped a different religion than him, the flat religion. And that became a problem for him, because as more immigrants from the French Empire arrived in the Empire of Great Britain and Ireland, he became worried that they would spread their religion across his nation, influencing his people. So to combat this, he would take away their lands, and he would target them in propaganda across the nation to further discriminate against the French people who immigrated to his nation. The French king, after hearing this, sent a letter to the king of the Empire of Great Britain and Ireland, stating, "If you do not cease your actions against my people, you will experience the consequences." The king of Great Britain and Ireland replied, "The French people do not respect the goddesses of the world and are not welcome to influence my empire with their idiotic ideals." This further escalated the problem, and it was the last straw for the French king. He sent one more reply back to the king of the Great Britain and Ireland, one so infamous and so popular to this day, stating, "Flat is justice," and would go on further to start an invasion against the Empire of Great Britain and Ireland. Around this time, peace negotiations would start for the first time, but would lead to absolutely nothing. During this time and this encirclement, Gunnery Sergeant Atununiku was trapped, but fought to her last breath and never surrendered to the Empire of Great Britain and Ireland, and became a heroic symbol for the French Empire. During this whole battle, on the sidelines was the Empire of the Netherlands. They had a lot riding on this battle and were hoping that the French Empire would come out victorious. But so far they looked like they were losing the battle. The king of the Empire of the Netherlands was furious at this, because if the French lost, they would lose, because they also worshipped the flat religion. If the French were to lose, the reputation of the religion would also fall. They were tired of being on the sidelines and took matters into their own hands, finally, and joined the war. Around this time, the Empire of the Netherlands sent a message to the French Empire, stating that their country was on the brink of collapse and needed to find peace as soon as possible. The French did one final push so that they would have a better standing during the Second Peace Conference. The Empire of Great Britain and Ireland knew that they were on the winning side, and so took advantage of the situation, asking for there to be peace, but in return can do whatever they wanted to do to the immigrants and the citizens of their nation, and for the two nations that went against them during this war to pay a fee and be in debt to their empire of Great Britain and Ireland. The nations came to that agreement and shook on it and signed the treaty, returning all their lands back to how they were before the war. Because of the result of this battle, the war was named after the winning side, hence its name, the Great Oppai War, for the Oppai religion winning the war. This battle would come to influence the world in the long term, because after this battle, the ideology of Oppai spread supreme and the better ideal than the other ideals of the other nations.